and welcome to the Intel Brief, your daily intelligence briefing on global geopolitics. Today is Thursday, 1 August. I'm your host Daniel, the founder of HM Intelligence. Every weekday, we bring you not just the news, but the so what from the events and decisions that shape our world. So grab a coffee and get ready to be informed. In today's update, we'll be covering Hungary eases Schengen restrictions for Russian workers, Russia captures a village on the front line, and 9/11 suspects reach a US plea deal, the Pentagon says. So firstly, since early July, Hungary has been issuing national cards to Russian and Belarusian citizens, allowing them to work and reside in Hungary but not travel freely within the Schengen area. These permits are similar to those Hungary already grants to citizens of neighbouring countries, including Ukraine and Moldova. The new regulations aim to ease restrictions and expedite processes, particularly to attract Russian workers for projects such as the construction of a nuclear reactor. Despite bypassing the usual extensive security checks mandated by the EU visa code, the move has raised security concerns, particularly within the European Union. The president of the European People's Party expressed worry over the potential security risks, including espionage, due to the more lenient application processed for national cards. He suggested that this issue be discussed at the upcoming EU summit, highlighting that while national cards allow short-term travel within the Schengen area, other member states can deny entry if they perceive a security threat. Despite the concerns, Russia and Belarusian nationals remain able to apply for Schengen visas, which are still processed according to regular EU procedures. The Hungarian Foreign Minister dismissed the backlash as propaganda, asserting that national card holders still need Schengen visas for border travel within the EU. He emphasized that Hungary's new permits are intended solely for the legal residency and work within Hungary, and not for employment in other EU countries. So what? Regardless of Hungary's claims, it is highly likely that Russia and Belarus will use these visas to support their intelligence efforts within Europe. Even if it does not allow agents to travel freely within Europe, it allows their sources to attend meetings in Hungary, a standard tactic used by intelligence services that struggle to have their agents move freely around Europe. Russia, in particular, has been using this system to run their European networks out of Austria and Hungary for several years. Interestingly, this new visa came into effect shortly after the International Investment Bank withdrew from Hungary in 2023. Numerous intelligence services around the globe have commonly referred to this bank as the spy bank, and was a way of Russia to run its intelligence program throughout Europe. But only time will tell what Hungary has gained through this deal, as it seems it has been dictated by Orban's master in Moscow. And next, Russia has said they have captured 2 critical villages on Ukraine's eastern front lines. The villages are located 20 miles northwest of a key city captured in February. A sergeant within Ukraine's 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade told Radio Svaboda on Monday that the Russians pressed non-stop to capture these villages. They sent large numbers of troops which had not previously been used. Ukrainian authorities had already urged residents to evacuate last month due to Russian airstrikes, with only 7 people left in the village, which had a total population of 100 before the war. Russia has been pressuring Ukrainian defensive positions with a heavy advantage in soldiers and weaponry. The Russian Ministry of Defense said its troops had improved their tactical positions after capturing these villages. So what? As the ground hardens in summer, the fighting steps up to another level. This is something Ukraine has been expecting and preparing for some time. Sadly, it is likely that Russia will continue to make gains throughout the summer period, mostly due to Russia's overwhelming numerical advantage. Though Ukraine is now receiving a large amount of Western weapons and ammo, it appears to only be slowing down the Russian advance instead of stopping it. While this might have been Ukraine's plan with active defense, where you slowly withdraw while hitting the advancing troops as hard as possible, it is likely they cannot do this for too long. Currently, it seems like Ukraine is in a tough spot. It cannot train enough troops to effectively conduct offensive operations, and instead is slowly losing ground to the advancing Russian forces. And lastly, the Pentagon has announced that 3 defendants tied to September 11th have entered a plea deal. Among them, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the alleged mastermind behind the attacks. The terms of the plea deal, as reported by the New York Times, suggest that the defendants agreed to plead guilty in exchange for life sentences, though the specifics remain undisclosed. The other 2 defendants are accused of assisting in the planning and financing the attacks. All 3 have been held in Guantanamo Bay, facing conspiracy, terrorism, and murder charges of nearly 3,000 people. The plea deal has sparked anger among survivors and families of the victims. Terry Strada, representing the 9/11 Families United organization, expressed frustration that the defendants would not face an open-air trial or the death penalty, which had been a potential outcome. She described the deal as a victory for the accused, criticizing it as a denial of justice. So what? While this brings the situation to a close, it does not appear to satisfy most people that suffered from 9/11. It seems possible that this deal was a way of the US government getting out of quite a tricky situation with having people held in permanent detention without charge, though it is unlikely that this will satisfy the families of the 9/11 victims. Thank you for listening to the Intel Briefing, your daily intelligence brief on global geopolitics, brought to you by HM Intelligence. If you want to support this podcast, tell your friends to help them stay informed and leave us a 5-star review. Or if you want to learn more about intelligence, why not take one of our courses? They're all online, self-paced, and affordable. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you next time.